Hey guys, welcome to another Game Explained discussion. I'm your host, Andre Siegers, and this time we're joined by Derek Binner to discuss the news that the NES is back, baby. So let's get started. Alright Derek, Nintendo announced a huge surprise this morning, being the fact that they are releasing, this November 11th, something called the NES Classic Edition. What that is it's basically a mini NES that has 30 NES games built in, and you can play them all, like, after, you just select it and you can play it, which is surprising because Nintendo has never done anything like this before. The closest thing we've ever had is, of course, the Virtual Console. Except in this case, this is actually a far better deal if you break it down by game. So yeah, I thought we'd have a quick chat about this because this is so unusual for Nintendo, and frankly, at least I think, pretty freaking cool. But what's your gut reaction to this?
Well, it's kind of funny that they do have a console launch this November, so that's cool. No, it's basically when you break it down, it is essentially one of those plug and play consoles,
right?
But it's also done with a lot of the Nintendo flair, having it look like exactly like the NES back in the day, having it work with the Virtual Console controller, so the game Classic Controller and the Classic Controller Pro, and all those other little NES-isms that make it just, kind of a cool thing. The only thing I'm disappointed about, and the first thing I tried to find out as soon as I saw this thing, because I saw somebody having the console in their hand, they have that picture of it in their hand, so you can see how small it is. I'm like, it looks a little small, but is it possible to play the cartridges I already have in it too? And unfortunately not. That's the only thing that would make this better to me.
I can see that, but that's totally not realistic, especially with the old school design they're using, which had known issues with the the cartridge slot. Granted, they could fix that. I'm not surprised they ditched that because that would involve a moving door. You have to plop it down, right? If you push it down.
But that's what I grew up with. I love that.
Yeah, but I love this. I love how it looks. It's adorable. It's a little NES in your hand. How can't you love that? Even the box looks straight up like the original box.
It totally does.
The same retro gradient background, the same color text. I love everything about this. Except for maybe just one thing, and that is the fact that they are selling this at $60. As I mentioned, if you break it down, that's a really good price for all these games compared to how much it costs to acquire them on the Virtual Console. Because I believe NES games go for $5 for each one. Whereas you're getting 30 here for just $60, meaning they're only $2 a piece. And that's not even counting the cost of, what the hardware costs bundled in.
Exactly. You got the hardware in there, plus the controller, which is sold separately at $10. So technically, it's these 30 games for $50.
So in that sense, the price is kind of great. It's kind of amazing. On the other hand, I feel like it might be just a little bit too much for that kind of a stocking stuffer. That you would want. I feel like it's a little bit too high to be a really compulsive buy. I feel like maybe 40 to 50 might have been a little bit closer. Maybe they dropped a few of the games, even though I'm sure it's most of the hardware that's adding to this cost. But I feel like if they had just gone a little bit lower, it might have been just, it would have been that much easier to latch onto.
I kind of disagree on that because $60 is basically the cost of a new game.
Right.
I think, there's, depending on the family, a new game could be a stocking stuffer depending on who you are. Not that I've seen lately, because it is on. I do agree that it is on that threshold, but I think it is just low enough that this will convince a lot of people as a cheap option to get these classic games.
Mm-hmm. It might. I don't know. I just think that because it is a new game price, it's I could get this, or I could pick up. There's nothing else on Wii U to pick up this holiday season except for Paper Mario.
Color Splash, man. Color Splash.
I feel like at that point it then becomes a choice. Do I want a brand new game, or do I want this game, the system that plays, really old games that I can also play in any number of other ways? Well, not legally, but any number of other ways. Whereas if it were just pressed a little bit lower, you wouldn't have that direct competition, I feel like. It's hey, $40, that is a complete no-brainer. And even 50, $49, I think even though it's only a $10 difference, I think it'll make a big difference in perception.
We're thinking in terms of us and other gamers. How many lapsed Nintendo fans are out there that have that don't want to pick up a Wii U and play all the Virtual Console games and try to figure out how to download all those and all this newfangled technology that I just don't understand, and I just want to plug it in and play.
Yep.
And we've seen that before. We have all these lapsed Pokemon fans playing Go right now, and to hit that same sort of niche, it's like, oh, I remember this from a kid. Oh man, Mario Brothers. Oh man, Zelda, and all these other games. I'm gonna pick this up. It feels like who they're marketing towards this.
Oh yeah, I mean, without question. In fact, the timing of this couldn't be better, following hot on the heels of Pokemon Go, which has reminded everyone of the nostalgia they had for these, for games from 20 years ago. And now this is hitting an even larger demographic to people who were playing games 10 years before that. So this I think could still be flying off shelves potentially, even at that $60 price. So yeah, it'll be really interesting to see just how successful this is. And I have to say, looking through this list of 30 games, these are pretty solid. This is a pretty solid list. There is almost no filler on this list. Like, I was expecting to see, like, Donkey Kong Jr. Math or some other, throwaway titles from back in the day. But almost every one of these is a hit. I mean, they even have, like, relatively obscure titles like Star Tropics, which actually just hit the Virtual Console as well, which is kind of odd timing. You almost think they should have kept it for this to be like a semi-exclusive, if you will.
Yeah, the kind of funny thing to me is that they have Castlevania 2 on there, which is notorious for not being a super great game. So yeah. But no, otherwise this is a great set of titles, and I recommend it if you haven't played some of them. I haven't even played some of these games, so that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, well, let's go over some of these real quick. I mean, they have basically the entire Mario suite, being Mario Brothers, Mario Brothers 2, Mario Brothers 3, as well as the arcade Mario Brothers. They have both Zeldas here. They have Star Tropics, as I mentioned, it's kind of like a Zelda spin-off, or not spin-off, but like a Zelda-like game. We have Punch-Out! Featuring Mr. Dream, of course, not the original Punch-Out. Kid Icarus is here, Ice Climber, Donkey Kong, Donkey Kong Jr., Castlevania 2, and of course the all-time best game ever, being Bubble Bobble, so thank God that's on the list.
now you can play the original Metroid on NES. God, it's hard to do that anymore because of the Zero mission.
Yeah, that game is a little bit hard to go back to. Mega Man 2 is on here, which will make Ash happy. Tecmo Bowl. Just a lot of really great games. Excite Bike, Dr. Mario, of course.
Oh man, me and Tom have to go at it.
Oh, I know, you guys have had some epic matches, and now it's time to take it old school with Dr. Mario. With that said, even though this list is good, it's still missing a few things, I think. Like, if they wanted like the all-time ultimate collection, there's still a few more games they could add to this. And I think we each have a few games we can mention. I'm gonna throw out Crystalis. Or Crystalis. I still don't know how to pronounce that game after all.
I'm going to say with Crystalis because I have that game as well. I've not actually picked it up and played it yet because lack of time, but I know you love that game and I'm very interested in it. I think that would have been a great choice as well because let's get some more titles. Since we're already bundling this up with other things, why not just pop it on there like some unknown games to get people interested again? Like, I never heard of this. Let's try it out.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I mean, I guess Nintendo's probably thinking that at this point it would only appeal to people who played those games, but I kind of agree. It would be cool to have a few more ones in there that maybe were overlooked at the time. Mm-hmm. And Nintendo even re-released Crystalis themselves on the Game Boy Color, so its omission is even a little bit stranger in this case. Or maybe not stranger, but
I guess the big determining factor is
the rights.
That and was Crystalis released on the Virtual Console?
I don't know. I don't think it ever has.
Because I think I think all these games have been released on the Virtual Console at some point, and they're probably using the innards from that. So that's probably our limiting factor here. Even though I'd love to have Crystalis on there.
That actually brings up another point real quick before we continue with the list of games that we ideally would love to have added to this. I really hope they nail the emulation on this because there have been like those all-in-one game consoles before. Like the Mega Drive has had them before, or Genesis, I should say. And I know in some cases they don't always run true to the originals. Sometimes the sound effects are a little bit off, or the gameplay runs a little bit faster, and it's not quite right. And Nintendo's usually pretty good about this, but they've had some issues like with the Wii U, like where you're emulating like 64 games, for instance. They look a lot darker than they did originally. Or, actually, even in the case of the NES games, there is a very slight but perceptible lag to many of those games, if not all of those games. Like, when I play Mario 3, okay, this is a bit of hyperbole, but I almost find it unplayable because of how much that slight delay changes how that game feels. It makes it feel heavy, when that's not how Mario should feel. So I'm really hoping they nail the emulator on this, and that, like, not only is it presented right, but it plays right.
Yeah, I hope that'll be the case, because I'm right there with you. Like, I haven't quite noticed that bit of lag before, but it's also been a while since I played the original Super Mario Bros. 3, so I'm a little off there. But yeah, the coloring is definitely going to be the big one, because I definitely noticed how 64 games are a lot darker on the Wii U, and yeah, let's hope the emulation is good. But I do think it is interesting how they are just basically taken from the Virtual Console, and that's even evident in the fact, of course, that you can use the classics. But it's also kind of cool that you can take this new NES controller and use it on your Wii U if you really want.
Yep.
So
actually, that's an awesome feature. I love again. Is how close they are to the original NES, or even the controller ports. Well, first up, it has controller ports, which is super old school. Second, they're where you expect them on the NES. And third, I love the idea that it actually is the same controller port that is actually on the Wii remote, meaning you can just plug in your Classic Controller or Classic Controller Pro directly into the system, so you can use that instead, or as a second player. If you need another, if you want to play 2-player games, since it only comes with the one classic NES controller.
The only thing I'm worried about that is, what is the length of the cord going to be on this thing? Well, because the Classic Controller and the Classic Controller Pro are pretty short. We're going to have to actually get the console pretty close to if you want to use those controllers on this system.
That's actually pretty funny. It's going to have to be like in your lap, basically, if you want to play 2-player games. I have a feeling the standard controller will be standard length. I mean, several feet in length, I'm sure. I don't anticipate that being a big issue, but it really is a second player that's going to be the problem, because that controller on those classic controllers are really short. So I don't know if maybe you'll be able to buy a second controller, a second NES controller separately. Maybe.
Oh, you can.
Okay. Oh, did they confirm that?
Yep, $10 for that.
Okay, that's good. All right. That price isn't totally unreasonable, I guess. A little bit high, but whatever.
It's to be expected. I'm not that broken up by it, but it's still good to know, and good for Virtual Console, or for people who don't want the Classic Edition and just want the controller for the Virtual Console.
Yeah. Did the original NES come with 2 controllers? It did, didn't it?
Maybe, I'm not sure. It's been I was 3 when I got an NES.
I think we're getting ripped off here, actually. Now that I think about it, we're trying to pull here, Nintendo. I remember. The North remembers.
North remembers. Okay.
Anyways, okay. So I start off with one of my games I want to see. What's the game you want to see, Derek?
Well, one of them kind of surprised is not here is Castlevania 3. We got Castlevania 1 and Castlevania 2. Why not finish off the trilogy and put on Castlevania 3 as well?
I do feel like, especially because almost every other set here is, well, not Double Dragon, but like Zelda, Mario, those sets are complete. So Castlevania does stand out as being a weird omission here.
Yeah, it kind of does. I mean, and I don't know. I thought it'd be fun to revisit that one and just have the whole Castlevania series block on there, but oh well.
Yep. All right, my next one, DuckTales.
That's a good one. I'd love to have DuckTales on there. I love DuckTales. But again, I think we're getting into that Virtual Console problem, because I don't think DuckTales was ever re-released.
Yeah, no, I that's also like a rights issue thing too, I think.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. But I think all of these, like the IPs are straight up owned by the companies that made these games, whereas DuckTales, that's owned by, that property is owned by Disney, of course, so. All right, Derek, another game.
All right, this one's for Ash. It's surprising that I'm not too surprised they just went straight to Mega Man 2 and skipped Mega Man 1. But why not have the two best the two that everybody considers the best, Mega Man 2 and 3? So yeah, Mega Man 3. Why not that?
It's a good point. I know that's something that Ash should definitely be arguing for on this.
Yeah.
In fact,
actually, I'll just go ahead and say a couple of my others. Like, basically completing the set. So Mega Man 3, Ninja Gaiden 2 and 3, and Star Tropics 2. All these sequels that we could have put on there and complete this.
Oh man, I forgot Star Tropics had a sequel. I feel like if Star Tropics is already obscure, Star Tropics 2 has to be super obscure.
Yeah.
So that would be an awesome game to throw on here, and that is kind of weird that they didn't, since why not? Like.
Seriously, I don't get it, but it'd be fun.
Tetris.
Oh my god, I didn't even think of that one.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know
Oh my
how-
God, Tetris is a major, like, you got Pac-Man, you got Dr. Mario. Why not Tetris?
I mean, granted, that's another IP owned by a different company, but come on, Nintendo, that game was practically synonymous with the NES, or with
Yeah.
Nintendo even.
Well, the Game Boy. That's what I
Yeah,
was.
well, they did even
synonymous
more
with.
so the Game Boy, but also by extension the NES.
Yeah.
So, yep, that's unfortunate, but yeah. Any other
Yeah.
games, Derek, you have on there?
I have a few on here. Actually, going along, I kind of missed this one. It's weird that they have Super C, which is basically Contra 2, but not the original Contra.
Yeah, that is odd.
There is no Contra here. But one for me that I'd love to have on here, it's one of my, it's like cult favorites of mine, is The Adventures of Lolo.
That's a good one.
Have you ever heard? Have you played that
I've
one?
never played it, so
Oh man, it's developed by HAL. Everybody knows the characters of Lolo and La 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 from
Kirby.
The Kirby games.
Yeah.
That's what they're from. They have their own adventure games where Lolo basically solves puzzle rooms to rescue Lala.
Mm-hmm.
And I rented it as a kid and I loved it so much. And I just encourage everybody to play that game as much as possible. I adore that game.
yeah, well, that's another good one that I would like to try out at some point. So, if only you were here. Actually, that's actually part of the problem, I think. For me personally, is I already own a lot of these games. So, I think that might be an issue for some people. Maybe that gets back to the price point for me, is just because I already own these. Whereas if it were a little bit lower, I could see that being a much easier buy. Even though I probably will buy it anyway just to cover it for the site. If
Yeah.
Nintendo doesn't send us one, which I think in this case they probably won't, but you never know with them. So, all right, Derek, is that all your games, or
Oh no, that's not all of them. But
my
do you have
God.
more?
I have one more, but I'm gonna cap it off. So
Okay, you want to cap it off? Okay, I'll go quickly through the rest of mine then. Dragon Warrior. We already have Final Fantasy. Dragon Warriors are like so cheap. Toss that bad boy up there and have 2 RPGs on this.
There you go. That'd be cool.
Get our 2 opening RPGs and maybe get some people actually interested in the Dragon Quest series.
Yep.
2, we have Double Dragon on there. Why not the classic beat 'em up, River City Ransom?
Oh yeah, there you go.
Next, did you ever play the original Ice Hockey?
No, I never did.
Oh man, that is I'm not even a big fan of hockey, and that game is so much fun. It is simple, but good 2-player action. Ice hockey is key.
Yeah.
But probably my favorite of the NES sports titles. And finally, my big one that I think they would have convinced a lot of people to get.
God help you, it better not be the one I'm gonna mention.
It might be Earthbound Beginnings.
Oh no, totally it wasn't. Nope.
Okay.
Sorry. That's a good one.
Earthbound Beginnings would have been a good one for that because it's Virtual Console.
Yep.
Pop that bad boy on.
I mean you're right, but I think if you want to be completely true to the classic moniker, it never came out here, so
I guess that's true, but I'd still be something like to be cool to have it technically in your NES,
Yeah, that's true. All right, well it doesn't matter, Derek, but I got one that's gonna trump them all because despite the fact that I said, oh god, what game was it that I said
Tetris?
would be the best? Whatever game I said that about, it clearly doesn't even matter at this point, but I can't remember. Because the all-time game that is missing from this list, that needs to be on here, pinball. Freaking pinball.
Really?
Yeah,
I've
that
never
game's
played.
awesome.
I have never played pinball on the NES.
You're missing out, my friend. That game is so fun. It is such a simple game. It's a 2-screen pinball game. I guess 3 if you count the little bonus game that has Mario involved. It is such a simple game. I found it so addictive back in the day. I could play that game endlessly, having competitions with my friend, trying to get a higher score. It was just it's such a very simple, such a fun game, and it has Mario in it. How can you go wrong with that? So
I'd check it out. I'd be down for that.
had adorable seals, Derek, or sea lions, whatever. One of the
It's
two.
actually kind of funny that they don't have like those early launch NES games. That like ice hockey was one of them, but there was
Yeah.
also there was golf, pinball was one of them. That's surprising that set's not in there, but
That's true.
that just shows you how fun the NES library was.
I do wish. I guess this actually brings up a point. Is I kind of wish this system had eShop functionality. Like, how awesome would it be if you could go online and fill out the rest of your roster? If you could just make this the ultimate NES machine by buying a few more games and adding it to your 30 plus collection already, or to your 30 collection already.
No, that'd be awesome if it could just sort of like it had its own small hard drive where you could just sort of.
No, I got it. The cartridge slot, SD card slot.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yep.
That is brilliant to put an SD card slot on there and like pop it on full of games. But Oh man.
Oh,
I
man.
wish. I wish.
Now I'm annoyed. This whole thing's garbage now. God. How can they screw that up, man?
They give us, that's the thing with you. They give you a little bit of a taste, and
Yeah.
then you're like, well, what about this? I wanted this. I wanted this.
Well,
And you ruin it.
I will say, though, they are adding one really good feature here that not even the Virtual Console supports, or to this degree, and that's the fact that there are multiple save points, or multiple suspend points, basically like quick saves, available for every game. Whereas on the
Yeah.
Virtual Console, you only have, I think, one
One.
or maybe two, depending on how you use them. 'Cause I think you can resume as well, right?
I think so, yeah.
So yeah, so that's awesome. That's good, especially for some of these games which are like super tough. This will make it a little bit easier to get through them, I think.
Yeah, it'll help a lot of the newcomers and
Yeah.
get them through that. It's a good idea. And I was actually looking through here and counting of which games I actually own. I own physically or have on the Virtual Console already. And actually looking through here, I'd say about a little less than half I don't own from these games.
I have most of the big ones, or the biggest ones, I should say, but there are a lot on here that I actually don't have myself. But part of that is because I wasn't that interested in them before anyway. So
Yeah, I guess that's true. But no, I mean, if I get them as part of a set like this, because that's the thing, this is essentially bringing back the idea of compilations. And I love compilations so much. Because it makes it, even if I have the game already, at least I'm getting something I haven't played before, and there's an easier way for me to play it all of a sudden, you know?
yeah, that's true. Like I love the fact that this is super portable. Just throw it in your bag and then take it with you. Your friend's
yeah,
place.
we could take it to E3 with us and just play that while we're in the hotel.
That is a great point. You totally could. That's an excellent point, actually. So yeah, like I really do love the whole idea of this, and I can only hope this is just the first of several to come. Like maybe we'll get a classic Super Nintendo next year,
Oh, I hope so.
right?
Oh,
Followed
that'd be
by a
brilliant.
classic Nintendo 64.
Let's hope so.
Actually, before that, I would actually, you know what I would truly love? Classic Game Boy.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Classic Game Boy Classic Game Boy Color, because they also played Game Boy games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point. But I would want it. I think I'd want it styled in the
Oh, in the
Classic
classic
Game Boy
form,
form,
totally.
God, I would love that. Like they could make it like make it look like the original Game Boy, and make it closer to like an iPhone size. Oh man, that would be freaking awesome. Oh, now I want that. Forget this NES. I want the classic Game Boy now.
No, that's sort of the thing here. If this is successful, it really opens up the possibility for just more of these NES Classic Edition or these Classic Edition consoles.
It does.
And I would love to see that. It just hits that. I think everybody had that idea immediately once they saw NES Classic Edition. It's like, okay, where's our Super Nintendo Classic?
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I just got reminded of one thing. Another omission here. No light gun games.
Not too surprising.
Where's my mini zapper?
It's not too surprising considering how the Zapper worked.
Yeah,
and the
it
TVs
actually
aren't
wouldn't
like
work on most modern TVs.
Yeah, exactly. That's why you have to have that reticle and whatnot on the Virtual Console.
Exactly.
So makes it a little trickier.
It is
But-
kind of weird though that a classic NES edition doesn't have one of the most defining games of that era being Duck Hunt.
It is a little weird, and then like think of the triple pack where it came with Super Mario Brothers, Duck Hunt, and then Track and Field. Where's our gamepad? We can, beat on the pad on the floor to try to run as fast as we can.
Oh, that would be if they were really sad. That'd be amazing. Holy crap!
I still remember that as a kid. I would just everybody would just get on their knees and use their hands.
Yeah. Well, you saw Reggie do that in the E3 announcement video a couple years ago.
Oh yeah.
Or last year, yeah. I guess quick correction, real quick to correct myself. So I think I was thinking of the NES Action kit, I believe, which came with 2 controllers. Apparently, I think the original NES box only had 1.
Oh, okay.
All right, so you win this one, Nintendo. Congrats.
See, since I got the one with Duck Hunt, it came with the NES controller and the Zapper. So
Yeah, that's. Well, I think that's one I got too, maybe, or maybe I think there were a bunch of different kits. So whichever one I had the 2 controllers and Duck Hunt as well. I think so. Anyways, Derek, final thoughts.
Well, here's the thing. I'm tempted to get this for myself. I think I actually might. The more I look at it, the more I think about it. I was like, yeah, I can see this for myself. But the thing I actually really want to get it for is I've been thinking for a while. I have a nephew who's going to be turning 3 next year. So he'll be close to 3 this Christmas. And I've been thinking for a while, like, I got into video games when I was 3 years old because I got an NES. And I wanted to get him a Wii a cheap Wii console loaded up with classic NES and SNES and Genesis games, this is a much better option and a much cheaper option for me. So I think rather than getting that, I'm just gonna get this classic edition and give it to my nephew.
Not just cheaper, but like it seems cooler. Like at this point, the Wii is old news and dead. Whereas getting like a classic remodeled NES, there's something just really appealing about that. I feel like, right?
Plus, it'll be simple. There won't navigate virtual console menus. I won't have to teach my sister how to do it for him and all that. It should be easy enough. Just turn the console on and.
You're bringing up a good point though. Like I don't know if the nostalgia is going to be there if the screen doesn't blink a few times. You have to blow into the cartridge first.
I don't even think the slot opens. So good luck.
That's the problem, my friend. That's exactly what I mean. It's not the same. They need to build something in there. Like it should have a microphone on the system. It should always blink a few times before you turn it on. You have to actually blow in the microphone to clear out the dust and get it working.
We don't need to revisit those moments.
That is key, Derek. God, what kind of classic gaming hipster are you?
That's nostalgia, yes, but it never was fun. It was always annoying. It's like, I want to play my game.
No, Derek, you're missing the point. It made it better because once it got through all that, it's like, my God, I'm finally playing this game. How great. It was your reward for going through all that nonsense.
I suppose so.
See, we're going to find out now all those games are actually garbage because it's not worth it. It was only worth it for going through all the effort.
I somehow doubt that. But what about you? Do you think you'll pick this up?
I think. I mean, yeah. I have to, regardless, because we'll be covering it. So, yeah. I think I would. Even though, I mean, to be honest, I do actually find NES games to be harder to go back to than almost any other generation. So, like I mentioned before, I think the original Mario and original Zeldas don't hold up that well. But you know, I actually think it's the simpler games that tend to hold up even. Well, I guess Mario's pretty simple, but yeah, I don't know. So, I mean, honestly, for me, when they release if they release a classic NES one, that would be the one that is a complete no-brainer. This one's mostly a no-brainer. That one would be that one's beyond no-brainer. It would transcend no-brainer.
Yeah. Oh man, be so good.
So, I mean, I think that this is the kind of thing I would pick up just more for the novelty. Honestly, it would be something I probably wouldn't use that much, just because I don't find myself going back to NES games that often. Anyway.
I real quick, I do want to mention before we end this off, I do feel bad for European players once again, because I heard that their version does not include one of the cords. I think it comes with an HDMI cable, but not like the plug-in cord. Sort of like how the new 3DS doesn't come with its own like plug, so you can charge it.
Yeah, I mean that sucks. The bigger question is if the games are actually going to run like they should, or they're going to run as they did, you know, in PAL mode, where I believe the games are sped up or slowed down. I can't quite remember, but they don't play like they did here. So I hope that they can finally enjoy the games as they were meant to, and not as they played them originally.
Yeah, seriously.
Yep.
Europeans got screwed so badly.
Alright, and on that note, I think we're about done here. So thanks guys for watching. If you liked our discussion, make sure to like, follow, subscribe, whatever, including on Facebook and Twitter. You can find links to them in the description below as a good way to keep updated on everything we post. And of course, keep an eye on Game Explained for much more on this console eventually, and other things gaming as well. Oh, I forgot to mention one thing real quick. How much do you want to bet this actually outsells the Wii U this holiday season?
I guarantee it. I guarantee it.
Yep. Alright.
Here's the thing. I will laugh if it outsells the PS4 and Xbox One this holiday season.
Oh, okay. That's not going to happen. I don't think they're going to make enough for that. But that
I
would
don't
be
know.
amazing.
Pokemon Go.
Yeah, that's true. You're right. Alright. And actually, man, if they released a classic Game Boy with Pokemon on it, oh my God. Alright, we're out. Bye.